What about Rings of Power? The show. I know it looks terrible. There is only one who thinks it looks good. Lofty Pixels. Anyway, one of the combat scenes from the show leaked online, and they are clearly using wirework. It prompted the fans to come up with a new and amusing name for the show. It had barely been on Twitter for 10 minutes, and then we saw it. What? Gandalf? Saw what? Crouching elf. Hidden dwarf. Well, that's not so bad. No. No, it isn't.
Make no mistake. No mistake. Unlike the mistake I just made speaking. Lord of the Rings of the Power, the ring-a-ding-dong, ring-a-ling-a-ding-dong is going to be so epically bad that it's going to spawn at least one YouTube channel that will reach 1 million subscribers simply by dunking on it. That's how epically bad I think it could be. Now, we haven't seen it yet, but we're going to see it very soon. And we're seeing all the hallmarks of a poorly written show where the showrunners, the actors, the actresses, the everyone involved is not talking about how epically good the show is written and how deep and immersive the world is, or how complex the characters are. Nope, they're talking about the superficial things like the color of their skins or the junk that they were born with. And these are the hallmarks of writers that are concerned with all the wrong things. And this new article kind of proves that. This and more after a quick word from this video's sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access VPN. Look, it's 2022. Everyone should be using a VPN by now. They unlock content, they provide an immense amount of privacy, and much more. From a privacy standpoint, not using private internet access would be like forgetting to mute yourself on Zoom and then talking about your coworkers. For a unblocking content worldwide, watching Netflix without private internet access is like paying for an entire spa day, but only getting a facial. Private internet access unlocks content, it adds an extra layer of protection, it conceals your internet traffic, your true IP, yours alone. You can access your favorite content, region-locked content. There are thousands of worldwide server locations. And I've been working with private internet access so long, they have a massive discount for you, my subscribers, when you use the link in the description or in the pinned comment down below. So get protected, get access to all the content you deserve, and save huge by using my custom link in the description or pinned comment down below to get private internet access today. Now, this was brought to my attention by F.R. Miller. Rings of Power stars explain what to expect from new Lord of the Rings series. New characters, improved representation, and focus on lesser-known Tolkien works shape a big-budget series. Again, you could see lesser-known works read, not his works at all, lesser known so much they're entirely unknown to Tolkien. I mean, it's like painting on a mustache on the Mona Lisa and calling it art. You could see, you know, as a Catholic, I'm fighting the urge to blurt out something that starts with F and ends in off. You know, it's interesting. And I don't think that it's going to end well for the show. And it's like what people will get twisted is that folks are criticizing like the fact that it's diverse. When in reality, yes, there are kind of hardcore Tolkien fans that have the actual like text that would tell you that these characters look incorrect based on what Tolkien has actually said. But the reality is that we know we've been, we've had The Last Jedi, we've had numerous reimagining, Wheels of Time, so many, A Story for a Modern Era, Forget the Past, all these things. We've seen it so many times that we know it's going to be bad when you focus on that. Like it or not, Hollywood is going back to the world of dwarves, magic, hobbits, and Middle-earth. Who doesn't like that? Amazon Studios' upcoming Lord of the Rings series, Rings of Power, revisits the seminal work of fantasy literature after director Peter Jackson first adapted writer J.R.R. Tolkien's main trilogy and then the prequel Hobbit. This time, a new creative team is looking deeper into Tolkien lore to tell a story many fans may not be familiar with. That's fair to say. Here's what everything we know about the series so far, including hints that the cast gave to CBC on what to expect. Now, there is a couple of recorded like interviews here. You can see, I always love when there's like non-canon additions. As Owen said, the Rings of Power draws from some of Tolkien's least fleshed out history, while Amazon Prime has the rights to use information from the Lord of the Rings appendices. Extensive but not story-focused add-ons to the novels, also called the Legendarium, they do not have access to the books Tolkien wrote that covered the same period. As a workaround, showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay introduce a number of new characters who don't conflict with canon of Lord of the Rings, but help prop up some lacking narrative. So they admit it will be non-canon. One of those additions is Emma Horvath's Arian, daughter of Elendil. Horvath said that the character brings new female energy to the family that wouldn't otherwise exist. She also said the experience of bringing an invented character to Lord of the Rings world altogether is different than what her canonical castmates were going through. It's slightly less pressure because you're not playing someone whose readers have kind of constructed in their minds yet. Well, yeah. That's why it's called the easy way out. I mean, the other side is wanting desperately to be accepted by fans. Existence of my character to be accepted. It won't be. Some other new characters includes Poppy Proudfellow, played by Megan Richard, and Eleanor Norrie Brandyfoot, played by Markella Kavanagh. 2 more women. Richards described her character as witty, sarcastic, fun hobbit who's also incredibly cautious which comes from her past, which you get to learn throughout the series. For her part, Kavanagh described Norrie as a resolute, curious, inquisitive hobbit with a tendency to get others in trouble. I mean, again, you're going to have a situation where this woman is going to be the new face of the hobbits. That's definitely happening. An update to an old world. Why don't they just say a reimagining? In trying to capture that audience, Rings of Power is attempting to address some of the criticism previously hurled at the franchise. Critics often took the Peter Jackson adaptations to task for lack of diversity in both gender and race. Did they? I don't think that was a popular talking point 20 years ago. I mean, if they did, I don't know about it. And again, I wasn't a YouTuber back then, so it's possible, but it seems unlikely to have been much of more than a murmur. Something casting's already pushed back against this time around. After the cast was first announced and some fans expressed outrage over a more gender-balanced cast than previously seen, the creative team pushed back. Quote, "It only felt natural for us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like," which is ridiculous. That actually doesn't make sense at all, because Tolkien's world takes place in a world that doesn't actually exist. Executive producer told Vanity Fair this year, "Tolkien is for everyone. His stories and fictional races doing their best work when they leave the isolation of their own cultures and come together. So when asked whether the show's plot would have women front and center this time, Richards had a blunt response. Well, we're here, she said, and I think that says it all. So women will have an upfront. And again, Galadriel did have an upfront position too, but we just know how this is going to go. Like, it's going to be Galadriel as Captain Marvel. Another change is Sophia Namvetti, who plays Disa, a dwarven princess, through the character who was created for the series show Married a Prince, Don't Care. Namvetti's portrayal makes her both the first Wamman and black actor to play a dwarf in Tolkien adaptation. Yay! It's never happened before! Therefore, it's stunning and brave. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It just means it hasn't happened before. It means absolutely everything, said of her role in bringing representation of people of color into Tolkien mythos. Everyone was cast because they were the absolute best person for the role. Incorrect! You were cast because you were short and dark-skinned and female. That is a fact. That's why you were cast. You were typecast to check a box for Amazon. That is a fact. And the fact that you think anything else proves that you're as delusional as we think. I'm not saying that you're going to be bad at it. I'm saying that you are not the best you were unlikely to have been the best person for that role because they cut out an entire race of people and said that you can't audition for this role. So by default, I know for a fact it is extremely unlikely that you're the best person for this role. Now this, of course, premieres September 2nd, so only 3 weeks away. And this is what we're getting. Hundreds, by the way, of articles written over the weekend about Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson speaking out about Rings of Power. Essentially, if you follow kind of the old lore, there were those within the Tolkien estate that did not like Peter Jackson's take on it. Family members and things of that nature thought he watered it down and made it for kids and removed some. So, Tolkien's estate really doesn't like Peter Jackson. But when you look at, the Tolkien estate allegedly rejected bringing Peter Jackson in Amazon's Rings of Power. The fact that this headline has been written, 100 times over the past couple of days. Like if you just search the Rings of Power and like go to the news tab, there's 100 articles written about this. And you know what the average person is going to retain from that headline? Oh, Amazon doesn't want Peter Jackson. And the average person loved Peter Jackson's trilogy. I didn't care for The Hobbit. I've got to say, I just never really cared about it. The book was good, but stretching it into that, they stretched it out so far in the movie that it was ridiculous. But the trilogy, Lord of the Rings trilogy, is beloved, and you have all these headlines now that are coming out that are like, well, Tolkien says. I get that some of ththese actors are only answering questions that they've been asked. But why am I seeing nothing about the CG that they're working on, or the character development, or the plot, or any of this stuff? We know nothing about it. All we know is that it's the most colorful cast of Tolkien ever, and that's supposed to be enough for me to tune in. Well, sorry, it's not. And when you spend the kind of money that Amazon did on this show, you need people who are fans of Lord of the Rings to want to watch your show. And just saying it's more colorful and there are more holes on the show than there were before, I don't think that's a unique selling proposition, but maybe that's just me. I hope you enjoyed this video though, and we'll talk to you again real soon.